Hi guys, you probably just watched the review for the NZXT H440 Mid-Tower case. You saw that I really liked it. I gave it a gold award. It was a great case. But now I wanted to show you guys, and I talked about in the review, showing you guys some of the installation and going through different things, nuances of this case for, you know, the differences like the power supply, shroud, and things like that. Ended up having a lot of videos, so here we are. I'm going to do pretty much a full installation video for you guys, and I appreciate you watching. Normally you would just take your power supply in another case and just drop it in right here and screw it down, right? Obviously with this shroud in place that won't be possible. So of course NZXT has thought about that, and it looks like it slides right in. One of those screws are pretty tight. I can grab my screwdriver, but it slides in from the back. Apparently you take this off. You can see what I'm talking about here now as I start to loosen it. It's a panel across the back. You take it off and it'll allow you to slide in the power supply and then lock it down from there. And of course there is, while I'm here, might as well show this. Of course there is intake ventilation for the power supply. I say ventilation, I mean like dust filter screen over the ventilation, and there are a lot of good vented slots there. And with plenty of room for expansion cards. On the side here you'll see 7 slots for expansion cards. A couple of grommets in the back for hooking up a radiator, for running, you know, liquid cooling or hoses of any kind. And I say just overall really looks like a really nice case, really well built. Even with all the side panels and all of the sound dampening, it's still a really solid case. Not incredibly heavy, but I mean, just it doesn't flex. It's really well built. The rivets and the brackets on each corner, double popped every one of them. So really well built, really rigid system. Just going to be great. Okay, I know I've kind of rambled on about this the NZXT H440 quite a bit already. But there's just so many things to show you guys. I was talking earlier about the places for the fans across the top, and I was talking about the top coming off, but I couldn't seem to pull it off at the time. I was worried that the top I/O ports and the power switch and the reset switch were connected, and I didn't want to break anything while I couldn't really look at it really well. But they are not connected. They are actually attached at the top of the case internally, and then the top it just pulls right off. So you know, it snaps into position simply and easily, and like I say, it pulls right off pretty easily. And so that's pretty nice, and that allows you to put in extra exhaust fans, or if you have probably going to need, honestly, it's going to be pretty tight in here, I think, with a full-size ATX board. So you might have like a slim radiator or something like that. I am probably going to put, I have a little 120 millimeter AIO radiator that I will probably put here at the back, and then move this 140 millimeter fan that they have up to the top. I'll probably just put it right here in the center. So either way, we'll see exactly how that goes as I build, kind of lay it out. And I'll check back in with you guys like I say, but again, I just want to show the reset power switch, and then your basically your front or top USB 3.0s, 2.0s, and your headphone microphone jacks. So those aren't connected to the actual top piece. And then with it off, you can actually see the ventilation here in the back and the side, so that your fans will actually will actually vent air out of there. I also want to point out, this is metal. This is all metal, all steel construction. The whole case there is steel. Even this piece here, I was talking about it feeling pretty solid. Got a magnet. Let me see, I probably have a better magnet. I've got a magnetic tray that I keep screws and extra stuff in, and you can see that snaps right on there. I suppose there's a few different ways you could go about this, and maybe really no right or wrong way. I might change my mind on that the further I get along, but it seems to me that the easiest way to go when building in this particular case is going to be getting the power supply in here and getting your cables pushed up into this front section and getting your, remember I showed that one bracket, and this piece is going to, it's kind of a dual mount or a double mount almost or something. It's going to mount onto the power supply and then mount onto the case. Again, that's because you cannot put the power supply in from either side, so it slides into the back. I just thought I'd show that. That's just one of the numerous unique things about this particular case. So I'm going to get that screwed down, get that mounted in there, and get my cables and my extensions pulled up there. Then the next thing I'll do will be move my exhaust fan up to the top so that I can put my little AIO radiator in the back here. And I might take some measurements and see what I think about putting that radiator on top instead. So we'll just take it step by step, see how it goes. I just really wanted to show you guys this particular thing because it's very unique, and I know maybe at first glance somebody says, how do you get that in there? So I just wanted to show it just slides right in from the back, and then you screw that down just like it were in the case, and then you've got the thumb screws which actually screw down to the case itself. So not nearly as hard as it might seem. Just ran across what's going to be my first problem in building this. Meant to be cutting away and coming back and forth a little more and showing y'all some of this, but most of it's pretty basic. I got the motherboard in, I got most of the basic wires connected, all the front panel stuff, which is actually up on top and not the front, but you get the point. You know, your USB 2.0 HD audio, your power switch and your reset switch and all those kinds of things. The only thing really left for me to do is put in the hard drives and then just tie everything down. So I was going to use these two plates here for the 2.5 inch solid state drives, because I thought, well, that's pretty awesome. You've got that there, you just screw this in, right? It would be pretty simple. Screw that in and then that attaches there and the thumb screw attaches it. But then I realized, well, then how do you actually connect it? Then you're going to have SATA power cables running either up from the back side here and then having the twist around in here. And that's not so bad if you had, maybe they've got connectors or something and you could run a single lead to each drive. That wouldn't be bad. But if you've got any normal market power supply and you're not trying to do any serious modding, then you're going to have a cable similar to this, which has been twisted out of shape. But the point is, you know, just your standard flat SATA power cable, which means you're going to have one each of these basically wasted. This has 4 connectors on it, and I can only run one at a time to come up through the backside there and connect one drive. Otherwise you're going to have, I mean, I suppose you could pull 2 of them through there and connect one and then run the other one over like this, but I don't know how ugly is that. You know, I mean, obviously it'd look better. I could tie it down and make it nicer than that, but it's still going to be kind of ugly. I'm gonna go ahead and give it a try, just like that, and see what I can work out. But it almost seems like I'd be better off just not using this and putting all of my regular HDDs and my SSDs behind this plate, in which case I'd be able to use these cables to just run all of those. And but I really would like, you know, the window's going to be right here. I really would like the opportunity to put some of these solid state drives on display. I thought that was a great idea, but I just feel like maybe it wasn't executed as wonderfully as I originally thought it was, because I would think instead of having the cable come through at the very back at the same place where the USB cables come through, there should really be right here at the end, right at the end of the little plate, another small hole for that little cable to just jump right through without having to twist the cable around so bad, because then you could leave your wiring straight and it would just plug directly into the back of the solid state drive. But then again, you still have the problem of this one is directly over the top of the power supply. My power supply ends right about here, so this one would be right at the end, and this one would be directly over the top with literally maybe 6 to 10 millimeters of room. So there's going to be no wire being fed through there. It's got to come from across this direction. So either way, just something to look into. Otherwise, this case is really going together beautifully. I don't think that's going to detract very much from the overall beauty and ease of use of the case. I got everything in here the way I wanted. Let me back up a little. Pardon the shakiness. Gotta pull it back some. You can see I moved the 140 millimeter fan into the top and put my 120 millimeter AIO radiator over here on a push-pull for the exhaust, which even with a lot of lighting you maybe don't see it very well. But then I've run the 24 pin. You can see I've got an extension here running that right down through the center instead of around the back through the grommets. I might change that. I'm not really a big fan of how that looks. I thought it would look kind of interesting, but I might change it because that also makes it easier to keep a bundle of wires, you know, here hidden behind these panels, which I'm really trying to do. But overall, I mean, the case is really beautiful. It's very compact. Basically got, you know, quite a bit of hardware going into here, and you can see you've got plenty of room for full-size graphics cards. If you've got, you know, a couple in SLI or Crossfire or whatever you've got. So plenty of room there, and maybe not room for 3, because you see that third PCI slot is right at the base. So if you had a double width card, like for example my 770 or the 280X, it would never fit in there. You can see this here. In fact, that 280X, you can see is not going to fit in there anyway, just because of this. So I would have to finagle that. So you don't have a lot of room for some really large full-size graphics cards. If I was smart enough to move these wires out of my way, then that might not be so bad. Let me try that with you guys watching here for a second. Whew. So you could get one of these in here, but you can see it's going to take up, it's kind of going to take up one of the hard drive slots. If you had a solid state drive in one of those slots, you could put in a card this size. And I forget exactly what size this card is. Let me see, I've got a tape measure right here. It is right at 1 foot. So maybe just over 11 3/4 inches. The amount of room that you would have comfortably inside this case to give it a little space at the end would be right at 11 inches, which really again is perfect for my Gigabyte 770, but it's still a pretty tight fit, you can see. So just be aware of that when dealing with full-size graphics cards in the NZXT H440. Alright, we got everything in here. Kind of a tight fit. I knew it would be. Some of the cabling coming through the sides there, a little more cramped than I would have liked. But I kind of have some large components for a mid-tower case. These came out of a full-tower case. But you can see I don't have the side panel on right now, and so you may hear it's kind of loud. That's mainly this. The other fans, the one in the top, the 140 millimeter, and the ones in the front, you really can't hear very well. You can hear if you get up close. But I just want to show off a couple things. The white light up NZXT logo on the side. I thought this was kind of a neat deal on the back. It's got the LEDs so you can see when you're trying to plug stuff in. That's always such a pain, trying to find that in the dark. Of course, all of the fan slots, this is something I didn't show earlier and I want to now. All of the fan slots, even the ones on top and the ones on the front, are all adjustable position slots like this. I can slide that up or down to accommodate different components and things like that. The one thing I couldn't do, I actually tried to put this radiator in the top, but it was too close to the RAM and it didn't fit. And I could have maybe moved it further back towards the back, but it just didn't look right or feel right. So really my only complaint here so far is this, something I mentioned earlier. You pretty much have to get an extension or a specialized SATA power cable to run these two hard drives here if you want to put one on each one. I went ahead and put one here and just have the one cable running up to the bottom there, but I don't have you can't really make it reach over to the next one. So I intend to go ahead and try to grab some little cables to see if I can make that work. But there's plenty of room. I have 2 more SSDs and 2 more hard drives here. And then I went ahead and even stuck in a card reader back here, so if I ever really need to, I can pop the side off and you can't see it at all from this side anyway. But I'll literally be able to just reach in right here and stick my card in, and a little SD card or something like that. But let me turn the thing around and show you some of this cable management. And I haven't really finalized it. I haven't put the back on yet. But you can see there's plenty of cable management back here, tie downs everywhere, and I've got a lot of extra cable. And you can see how a lot of it fits in here, and I've just shoved it in there for now. If I were doing a more permanent build, I would definitely probably spend a little more time and clean that up. But I've got extra stuff for an extra LED strip here, extra stuff just for decoration, you know what I mean? And still plenty of room to tie things down here. I've got tie downs that I never even used. You can see them everywhere. So there's a lot of room for cable management. Now this area back here is not that deep though, and you can see, like, especially for this thick 24 pin main ATX power, you may not see it in the video, but from here you can see that's going to be really tight. When I try to put that side panel on, especially with, as I step right in view, especially with the insulation, you can see where even before I put stuff in there, there's some impressions, some indentions in there. So it's definitely going to be a very tight fit. You know, it makes contact right there, and there's room for an entire finger in there. So this case, while being beautiful, is not the, they could have left another 1/4 inch on this side easily and allowed for some actual really good cable management. As it is, it's going to be a tight fit. It'll fit. I know that anyone out there, myself, I can certainly get it on there right. I'll work these out. I'll spread these out some more. I'll flatten this out some, and I'll get some more work in the back side here and make it work. But you know, it really is, I keep saying the same thing, it really is a tight fit. But otherwise, obviously a gorgeous case, and it looks really good on the inside. I got fuzz flying in there. I think it'll look really great with some lighting. If you get the one I used to have and actually don't anymore, and I'm thinking about getting it again, that NZXT Hue. The only problem is it uses an optical drive slot, and this doesn't have an optical drive slot. So I have another NZXT LEDs that I'm going to put in back here. Either way though, just a really nice case, really good solid build. Getting the components and everything in there was easy enough. For the most part, I had to finagle the card, you can see, and this is actually my smaller card. The 280X would not fit at all. I showed that earlier, that it's a good more than an inch in length over, or nearly an inch maybe, over what it could possibly be. But I normally use my 770 anyway. This is the GTX 770 4 gigabyte wind force from the company Gigabyte. Either way though, so that gives you an idea of how much room you're going to have. So any cards bigger than this, you're really going to struggle with. But other than that, really beautiful. Got your space for your SSDs down here. Obviously room for a nice little AIO water cooler. Again, it did have the grommets in the back here for, you know, traditional or custom loop water cooling. You could put a res down there. You could put a radiator across the top or somewhere else. Whatever you needed to do, you could just about get it in there, just about anywhere you wanted to. Maybe not the front. It's already got the 3 fans installed, and I gotta admit, I just turned it off on accident. But that would be difficult to get a radiator in the front. Either way, I hope you guys enjoy, and I'll get back to you after I run some more tests on it and see exactly how well the cooling, those fans and things like that perform, and we'll just get some more work done on it. Hey guys, welcome back. So I've wrapped up the testing on the NZXT H440, and I just want to say the cooling is spectacular, especially when you look at the case and it looks like it's all enclosed. It actually has some really good ventilation down one side and across the top for intake and exhaust, and then of course plenty of exhaust on the back. 320 millimeter fans in the front pull a lot of air into the case, and then I actually moved the 140 millimeter fan from the rear up to the top, installed an AIO 120 millimeter water cooler for the processor, and I was golden. I mean, my temperatures are really low, especially considering I keep my room warmer than most normal room temperature. The case looks great. The shroud on the power supply looks amazing. The LED lighting for the NZXT logo, the LED lighting on the back, all wonderful. I added some more LED lighting in there just to give it another little bang. The cable management is really great. My only complaint about that, there's plenty of tie downs and everything. It could stand to be a little bit thicker, literally 15 millimeters, a quarter inch, and I wouldn't have to force and push on the side panel so much to get it to slide into position. As it is, my 24-pin ATX power supply cable is like that thick. I think most of them are. I've got one sitting right there, but I'm not going to grab it. Anyway, it's too thick. It makes contact with the side panel, and you have to push it around to make the little latching mechanism slide in. And I mean, it's not that pronounced. You can't see you can't see it at all, but it's there. You have to push it in top and bottom and slide it over. It's a pain. Tiny little thing though. The only other problem I've got is the 140 millimeter fan vibrates a little, creates a harmonic, so there's some humming, some buzzing in the side panel with the acrylic window. If you touch it, it stops, so I know it's just a minor vibration thing. I'm working on getting some rubber washers in there to make that stop. Otherwise, a beautiful case, really quiet. You can't hear everything running inside. It's insulated for sound insulation on the right-hand side panel. Alongside the window, the acrylic window has insulation there to keep your hard drives quieter. Supports full big graphics cards, supports 360 millimeter radiators. In fact, two of them, one in the front, one in the back. Of course, you have to take hard drives off to get the one in the front. Just a really great overall mid-tower case. It's knocking it out of the park. This thing has more features than a lot of full tower cases. Plenty of expansion slots for expansion cards. It's a little bit tight getting the motherboard in there and getting the wires pulled around to it. I had to really finagle a couple of my SATA cables that fit right at the place where there's no grommet there, but that's no big deal. Overall, just a home run. So I'm definitely giving it a gold award for the NZXT H440. Big props to NZXT for that. Again, just a couple little things. One other thing I want to mention quickly. I would love to have a case like this with a 5 1/4 inch drive still. At the top, at the bottom, on the side. I don't care if you have to actually put it in the top behind the USB, behind the, the USB 3.0 and the power button or something like that. Drop it down on top of where the one hard drive would be. Something like that would be awesome. I like my disc. I like old games. And they use a disc. I like card readers, and it uses a 5 1/4 inch space. Point is, it's unnecessary, so they've taken it out. I get it. Most people don't need it. Most people don't want it. I get it. Remember to come join us on our forums at www.hightechlegion.com. Make sure and keep up with us there. You can follow us on the website and read all about these reviews. You know, the videos are great, but we leave a lot out. All the technical details, all the specifications, all the numbers that you might want to know right there in the written part of the review. Come and read those. That's great. Give us a like and a thumbs up on Facebook. Follow us there. Be really nice. You know you want to get those updates. And again, with the updates on Twitter, you can follow us on Twitter and get all of our updates, maybe daily, weekly, every time something new comes up, we're going to let you know. And so once again, I'm Steve Cox with High Tech Legion signing out, and we appreciate you watching.